Oh, welcome. I'm Tim Barnes. I'm OSU Extension Educator in Marion County, Ohio. And this presentation kind of goes along with a workshop we held here in April for those sheep judges that are interested in expanding how they have the ability to do a better job of analyzing the breeds of sheep when they do judge them in the show ring that have wool, and wool is a major part of the breed scorecard that will figure into their placing. So this is titled Wool, the Fiber of the Gods, created, not man-made, and it comes from a paper from Dr. Naylor, who is active in the wool industry in Australia. So some good basis and knowledge there. We'd like to, as you think about the world of the wool fiber, wool's wonderful structure results in many splendid properties. A closer look into the wool fiber reveals layer upon layer of ordered structures. The wool fiber is not just a mixture of wool molecules. Wool is a natural protein made up of 18 amino acids. It has a complex physical and chemical structure. These many layers of structure are the key to wool's wealth of fiber properties. This diagram does a nice job of showing many of the different traits. Excuse me. The most, we'll go into several of them a little bit more in depth, but again, remember how durable wool is. It's anti-static, holds colors when dyes are added, and also is very breathable as a fiber and filters the air. How wool grows, shearing, of course, a big part of any sheep operation. Timing is tried to be expanded as long as possible to get the longer staple, which produces a fleece that is more desirable to be made into fabric, which could end up in apparel. Regrowth is slow, regular, and uniform, and of course is very similar to how human hair grows. In the history of wool, the high crimp meant that it could easily be spun into soft yarns to make thick insulating fabric, which obviously dominated the clothing market years and years ago before central heating became universal. Wool's long-standing reputation for warmth can be attributed to the high bulk density and elasticity, which together give wool clothing excellent insulating characteristics. In a package that is light in weight, feels soft against the skin, and has moisture buffering, a combination that cannot be duplicated by any other fabric. As we compare fibers, natural to man-made, you can see at the top of this chart, wool has kind of a scale look under a microscope where you look at acrylic and nylon, man-made, very uniform, very exact, are smoother, but wool does have the ability to absorb moisture. It swells and then obviously smooths out the surface, which gives a better position for dirt and moisture to be repelled and help have a cleaning process that really is better than our man-made fibers. Wool can be regarded as an active fiber. It is able to absorb and desorb moisture vapor as conditions around it change. If either humidity or temperature change, the fiber moisture content quickly readjusts. Because wool has such a large capacity to absorb water vapor compared with other fibers, it has a unique ability to interact with these changes in a way that make conditions at the skin feel better to the wearer. Wool is fire retardant. It has an extremely high ignition temperature and does not melt. When wool is difficult to ignite, but once ignited, the flame spreads slowly and is easily extinguished. The elongated core cells in the center of the fiber are protected from the environment by a layer of barrier cells. The outer layer cells contain high levels of sulfur, and when wool is heated to the point of combustion, the structure tends to foam, providing an insulating layer of material separating heat and oxygen from the fuel source. Beads and rolls off before being absorbed into the fabric. Because wool has this capacity more than any other fiber to store moisture vapor, it's unique among apparel fiber in its ability to exert control over the humidity of the air around it. The effect of sportswear next to the skin is a significantly reduced awareness of the moisture discomfort. In most situations, excess moisture will be evaporated from the fabric, so its temperature will be lower than the outside temperature, whereas the skin will be at a temperature that is higher than the outside temperature. Dampness sensations can be attributed to a drop in temperature during skin contact. The greater and more rapid the drop, the damper the fiber feels. Extendability is the core design, the helix structure of the wool fiber. And again, if it's pulled on, it will expand from 2 to 30%. And then when released, it will retract back to its original length and shape. Water vapor diffused through the skin or evaporated from the skin passes through clothing to the environment because there is a decrease in the concentration of moisture in the air from the inside to the outside. Wool absorbs 35% of its dry mass at 100% humidity, which is more than any other fiber. Individual water molecules diffuse in and out of the fiber structure, loosely binding to chemical groups that have an affinity for water, and wool has many binding sites and therefore is the most hygroscopic of all apparel fabrics. Hygroscopic means easily absorbed water vapor. And again, as you look at this, you can see how it, like we talked about, sweat or moisture from extreme exercise or walking then diffuses through the wool fiber and then is evaporated more easily. Goods made from wool are naturally water repellent. This is because the wool has a very thin, waxy lipid coating, chemically bonded to the surface. The bonded layer extends over the overlying scales on the surface of the fiber and cannot easily be removed from scouring, washing, or processing. A little more on the wool, how wool fabric works. Again, as we exercise a lot, of course, we sweat. The wool cooks that up, and then the vapors move through the fabric layer to the outside, which increases the area of evaporation. The movement of liquid water in clothing is known by the term as wicking, and it's governed by different physical principles to moisture vapor absorption and desorption, which are associated with the movement of water vapor molecules through the internal structure of the wool fiber. Wicking is also key in drying the fabrics. It's a popular misconception that synthetic fibers dry faster than their natural counterparts. The rate of evaporation from fabrics depends solely on the climate conditions. Drying time is determined by the amount of water in the fabric that must be evaporated. After a wash and spin, wicking only involves the external surface of the fiber. This surface can range from being water-loving to water-hating or repelling water. Note here, wool acts and lets the skin breathe and also helps with body odor. And if the skin has the ability to breathe, that reduces the amount of bacteria that can penetrate to the body. And then also wool has a unique characteristic to attract the odors, acidic, basic, or sulfurous odors that tend to be part of the odor associated with the body. The wrinkle recovery of the wool is dominated because of the elasticity of the filaments in the fiber. The elastic elements of the fiber stretch and recover immediately, like we talked about earlier, but the viscous regions of the fiber delay both the deformation and recovery when the fibers are released. And this is why hanging a wool garment overnight in a humid environment, such as a bathroom, can enhance the recovery of the shade. This is a very effective method for removing the wrinkles in wool fabric. Finally, the desirable attributes of the fibers that are especially important in apparel are drape, handle, moisture desorption, and absorption, which basically mean to regulate the microclimate of the wearer, and the resilience and extendability to provide improved durability and wrinkle recovery for a great looking smart clothing appearance. The moisture sensitive two-phase composite structure of wool with its unique array of functional attributes ideally suited to the production of high quality clothing. So that was part of our program. Then with our workshop, we went ahead and had 2 classes of live sheep that we analyzed, and then also 2 classes of wool fleeces that we did work with also. So made a nice program. Again, we're plan on doing that maybe again next year also. So if you'd be interested, please get in contact with us and we'll make sure you're invited. So with that, I think we would again like to thank Dr. Naylor with this information that he surely has credit for, but really does give us a tremendous insight into how wool, the fiber, is such a big part of our wool breeds of sheep. Thank you.